letter that was released recently. It's what happened prior to his being put on suicide watch, and this is how it occurred. I was pulled out of my cell for my 1 hour of recreation call. When the guards came to my cell, I noticed a change in their usual demeanour. Instead of being calm and respectful, they seemed agitated and confrontational. Instead of 2 or 3, there were 4. Almost immediately, they started harassing me. The first guard told me to turn left. When I complied, the second guard yelled, "Don't turn left." When I attempted to comply with the demands of the second guard, I was told by the first, "I said turn left." I responded with, "Yes, Corporal," to the first guard. At this point, the third guard chimed in by telling me that in the Marines we reply with "I" and not "yes." He then asked me if I understood. I made the mistake of replying, "Yes, Sergeant." At this point, the fourth guard yelled, "You mean "I," Sergeant?" The harassment of the guards continued as I was escorted to my 1 hour of recreation. When I arrived at the recreation room, I was told to stand still so they could remove my leg restraints. As I stood still, one of the guards yelled, "I told you to stand still!" I replied, "Yes, Corporal, I am standing still." Another guard then said, "You mean "I," Corporal?" Next, the same guard said, "I thought we covered this. You say "I" and not "yes. Do you understand?" I responded, "Aye, Sergeant." Right after I replied, I was once again yelled at to stand still. Due to being yelled at and the intensity of the guards, I mistakenly replied, "Yes, Corporal, I am standing still." As soon as I said this, I attempted to correct myself by saying "I" instead of "yes," but it was too late. One of the guards started yelling at me again. "What don't you understand? And are we going to have a problem?" Once the leg restraints were taken off me, I took a step back from the guards. My heart was pounding in my chest, and I could feel myself getting dizzy. I sat down to avoid falling. When I did this, the guards took a step towards me. I instinctively backed away from them. As soon as I backed away, I could tell by their faces they were getting ready to restrain me. I immediately put my hands up in the air and said, "I'm not doing anything. I'm just trying to follow your orders." The guards then told me to start walking. I complied with their order by saying "I" instead of "yes." I was allowed to complete my hour of recreation. During this hour, the guards did not harass me further. They didn't harass me when I was escorted back to my cell. Later, I learnt that there had been a protest outside the gates of Quantico the previous day. The rally was intended to bring attention to the conditions of my confinement. It is my belief that the treatment of the 18th of January 2011 by the guards and later by the commander was related directly to this protest and to my earlier complaints. After being returned to my cell, I started to read a book. About 30 minutes later, the PV and CF commander CW04 Aberhart came to my cell. He asked me what had happened during my recreation call. As I tried to explain to him what had occurred, CW04 Aberhart stopped me and said, "I am the commander!" And he said that no one could tell him what to do. He also said that he was, for all practical purposes, God! I responded by saying, "What a hero." He responded by saying, "You still have to follow BRIG procedures." Amazing! I also said, everyone has a boss they have to answer to. But what does he get? As soon as I said this, CW04 Aberhart ordered that I be placed on suicide risk status. Admittedly, once I heard that I would be placed under suicide risk, I became upset. Out of frustration, I placed my hands to my head and clenched my hair with my fingers. I did yell, "Why are you doing this to me?" I also yelled, "Why am I being punished? And I have done nothing wrong." I then asked CW04 Aberhart, "What have I done to deserve this type of treatment?" And you remember at this point that the Pentagon spokesman, Jeff Morrell, is quoted as saying, he actually said at a press conference, I think it was, he actually said that Bradley had been an exemplary prisoner. So he'd done nothing wrong, as we know. 04 Aberhart did not answer any of my questions. He instructed the guards to enter my cell and take all my clothing. At first, I tried to reason with him by telling him that I had been a model detainee and by asking him to tell me just what he wanted me to do, and I would do it. However, I gave up trying to reason with him, as well he might have done, once the guards entered my cell and ordered me to strip. Instead, I lowered my head and started taking off my clothes. He placed me on suicide risk. This was over the recommendation of Captain Hoctor and the Defence Forensic Psychiatrist, Captain Moore. His decision was also in violation of Secretary of Navy instruction, para whatever. As a result of being placed on suicide risk, I was confined to my cell for 24 hours a day. I was stripped of all my clothing with the exception of my underwear. Additionally, my prescription eyeglasses were taken away from me. Due to not having my glasses, I was forced to sit in essential blindness during the whole day. I remained on suicide risk until the 21st of January 2010. The determination to place me on suicide risk was without justification and constitutes unlawful pre-trial punishment. Now, that's just, to me, an example of the sort of pressure he's under and the sort of resistance that he is actually putting up and how well he is playing this. And what I'd really like to do now, if you don't mind, could you just come nearer to each other and hold hands? Is that possible? Do you mind doing that? Just everybody hold hands. Please, could you just hold hands? Because I want to send Bradley our love, and if we don't love each other, then, you know, there's not much point doing that. Hold hands, touch one another. You know, we love each other, we love Bradley, okay? And what I'd like to say now is, could you just be quiet for 1 minute, about 1 minute, not too long, and do whatever you do, pray, meditate, send your vibes to Bradley. Tell him, we love you, Bradley. We wish you peace. We bless you, Bradley. Bless you. Can we just be quiet now for about a minute? Peace to you, Bradley. We love you. We are your brothers and sisters. You are our brother. Bless you. We bless you. Thank you.
I think reading that letter over and over again and meditating on it's really worthwhile. A few things that just struck me there. One is it's very instructive that the American state still finds questioning authority as a suicidal tendency. The other thing, I remember when we broke into the B-52 base, the first time we had to break out, we couldn't find the B-52. We reported back to Phil Berrigan, who's now passed away in heaven, so I can tell you the story. He's not there, none of us get there. And he said, you know, retrospect is 20/20 vision, and he's kind of critical of we didn't find the B-52, they're pretty big. And just looking at that letter again, and you know, the thing about, we say I in the Marines, it's easy for me to say not being there, but the response really is, well, you may do that, but I'm in the American Army, and what am I doing in a Marine base? And if you want to induct me into Marines, I might say aye for you. But and that's what the commander of Quantico, who's at Quantico today from 1959 down there protesting, that's his question. What is a member of the American Army doing in a Marine base? You know, they've got rigs in Kansas, Leavenworth, for American Army prisoners. And that puts lie to their proposition that he's been treated like any other prisoner. You know, total lie. I want to thank Danny and Serena earlier for posing as Bradley Manning. If anyone wants to get a photo before it comes out of character. Also, Sister Susan's here through Lent up to Easter on Wednesday, 12 to 2. If anyone wants to join us, she comes down from Oxford. We've got a gig on the 17th of April with Gareth Pearce. And Gareth Pearce has got a very interesting, great woman. So humble, very hard to promote. She's got this court case going that in Europe, in America, they can hold you in solitary confinement if you tell me your natural life because of how the Supreme Court have interpreted the 8th Amendment. In Europe, under Article 3, they can't do that. They see association with other human beings as essential to heat, clothing, food. And she's got an argument that they should stop all extraditions from Europe, which might help Julian. And she'll be speaking, and there'll be music. John will be back, and all sorts of people. Recruited the lead singer of a punk rock band on St. Patrick's Day the other night, but hopefully saved it up and still my commitment. But it'll be great, and there's a blue leaflet going around with that. That's not it. Someone hold it up over there. There's some great different groups here. We're a pretty eclectic bunch, and we're going to have an open mic, going to have some music, but it's just as significant to drift off with any one of the speakers or any one of the groups and swap emails and connect, because we don't want to come as individuals and leave as individuals. We want to come as individuals and leave as a movement. So it's just, we won't be offended if you drift off over there, and so we're going to have open mic, 3 minutes. Scott Elbrecht, do you want to kick it off? You're not shy. And there's a guitarist, Kat, out there. And if you want to speak, just line up here. Yeah, just 3 minutes. Anyone got a watch better than mine, that'd be helpful. And feel free to mingle and connect. And thanks very much.